Hi everyone, Carolyn here with another Transition Chronicle update. Today my one little thing that I accomplished was that I called I contacted a service that may be able to uh, save me some money on my facial feminization surgery. That's certainly a big maybe, and I've already over the past few years I've talked to a few different surgeons and had consultations and things and gotten a bit of an idea of what costs would most likely be like. But it never hurts to get more opinions and look at more options before undertaking something so dramatic and costly and permanent. So I'm looking at another possibility right now, which I won't take, and I wouldn't consider unless it could be proved to me that it was safe, reputable, with an experienced surgeon, with good references and testimonials and everything. You don't want to cut corners at all when it comes to this sort of thing. But at the same time, if it if they can offer me a very high quality experience and result, and uh, save me a little bit of money at the same time over what I would pay if I went elsewhere, then that is obviously something that I want to be aware of and I want to take advantage of. So I just feel good that I'm just thinking about this stuff and being active on a daily basis. I'm a little stuffy today, so sorry if my voice sounds stranger or squeakier than usual. Um, what I was thinking about today at one point during the day, and that I kind of wanted to talk about today, is fear and concern over what other people think. I've made a lot of progress in that area. As I said in the video that I made yesterday, there was once a time where, quote unquote, stealth was my goal, that I wanted to basically have a life where where most people who I worked with and met and interacted with didn't know that I was trans. Obviously, that's fallen by the wayside, and I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm very happy with the path that my life has taken in the past few years with regard to me, being out and open. Although initially I was terrified. I was absolutely just petrified of whether I was scared that I wouldn't be able to handle whatever insults and stuff people threw at me. And I mean, the reality is that it's never really bothered me. I mean, part of that is that I have a great support system in place, which makes it easier for me to ignore the ignorance and the nonsense and the hatred and just kind of laugh at it and filter it out and go on with my day and feel good about who I am and what I'm doing. Um, so, uh, but so I don't care at all what the masses think, what people who see me on the internet and leave internet comments think. I mean, it's when I get supportive messages, supportive comments, it's very meaningful to me, and that's wonderful. I mean, it's extremely gratifying when that happens. But as far as the negative stuff, I don't waste any time thinking about it. But I do care. It's not that I care what people in my actual vicinity think. If I'm on a subway train or something, and someone else on the train is miffed that I'm on that train, tough cookies. Except what I do think about and what I am concerned about is what they do about the fact that they feel that way. I'm absolutely petrified of like a real world face-to-face verbal confrontation, or certainly absolutely petrified of any sort of physical confrontation, somebody getting just hostile and aggressive and potentially violent. So, you know, I but I go back and forth about how much I should even think about that. Like where's the line between having a reasonable kind of concern for one's safety and like denying myself just the freedom of being myself in public. Um, I don't want to. I was going to say I don't want to take any stupid chances, but I don't really. That to me is kind of a meaningless phrase because I don't think that nothing. If I were to be ever verbally accosted or assaulted, it would not at all be my fault. Like it wouldn't be it's not because I do something like I dress a certain way or whatever. I provoke that. No, absolutely not. So I don't really mean that. But I just mean though that the reality is that I am scared of such a thing happening. And I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is one of the most you can say it's one of the most tolerant places in the country, and doubtless it is, and yet it's far from free of violence directed at people who are transgender or people, women, or anyone. Anyone. Violence is something that exists in the Bay Area. It's not some utopia where that doesn't happen at all. So, but at a certain point, it's like you kind of have to live your life, and you have to stop worrying about that. And so I think I'm sort of gradually taking these little steps of becoming more feminine in my presentation in public, and I feel like right now it scares me, it terrifies me at times, but I feel like just like I was once terrified of being out in the sense that I am now, like on the internet out, and now I'm not terrified of it at all. I don't even think about it. It's perfectly just a normal part of my day and my existence. This might be that way too. Like it seems really, really scary at first, but once I do it, and I realized that I didn't need to be as terrified as I was. That I can handle it. That I can do this. I so I often wish that I could like read people's minds. Like today, I was walking around San Francisco, and today I was wearing makeup, and my coat was kind of feminine and stuff. So um, I, um, I flashback a little bit. I got recently when I went to Target, and I was not wearing makeup at all, and I was wearing like my rattiest hoodie, and I just I was a complete slob, and the clerk, who I checked out with, he called me ma'am like repeatedly and consistently throughout the whole interaction, and I was, floored. I that's never happened before. Before it happened a few weeks ago. It's always been, somebody might call me ma'am, but then they sort of there's this awkward moment where they realize or they come to the conclusion that they made a mistake, and then they either like correct it by saying like I'm sorry, sir, or or they just or maybe they sense that I am trans, but they're kind of not comfortable with it. So then they just kind of maybe they don't make eye contact with me anymore after they've realized that, and they're just kind of awkward throughout the rest of the interaction, which I hate. Like I hate that. It even it makes me feel a little guilty, and I know that it shouldn't. Like it's not my fault. It's not my problem. That's their reaction, and there's nothing I can do about it. But I do feel a little. I get that kind of twinge of guilt when that happens. So, today I'm walking around and I feel like people were, men, especially a few men here and there, were like looking at me maybe a little more than in general, in the past they have, and it provokes that kind of question of, okay, are they looking at me because they're puzzled, because they're intrigued, because they're reviled, what's going on there? And I mean, that's obviously, I'm sure to one extent or another, like everybody has that when, or lots of, women have that when they catch men looking at them or what have you. It's not like a trans thing in particular, but for me, there's that extra kind of layer of doubt of like what's going on there, and so I was just thinking that today as I was walking around, like when that happened a few times. Each time I was like, I wish I knew, what that was about, but maybe maybe I don't. I mean, or maybe it's not worth. It's certainly not worth me wasting any time thinking about. But the thought bounced around in my head a little bit, and yeah, I guess what scares me about it, like in the past, I've always felt like, oh, if I don't put any effort into my appearance, I mean, other than just throwing on a t-shirt and jeans and whatever, walking out the door, and people look at me and they assume that I'm a man, which, I'm not at all. I'm not a man, but I'm more comfortable with them thinking that than I am with that awkward interaction where they, like, if somebody kind of realizes that I identify as a female, but that I'm trans, and then they get uncomfortable, that then makes me uncomfortable, like in the situation I described earlier, where, the person behind the counter says, hi ma'am, I can help you, and then they say, oh, I'm sorry, sir, or they just do that awkward thing where they don't even look at me anymore, and they feel embarrassed. So I think a thing that I need to do is just stop caring. I mean, that's probably going to happen. It's just going to be a reality, and I do look forward to the day when maybe that doesn't happen anymore. But in the meantime, I should probably just not worry about it and not be concerned with, if other people have that discomfort or what have you, to not take that in and feel that, directed inward at myself. Easier said than done, but I think just thinking about it is a step on that road, so that's good. Yeah. Anyway, so I guess that's it. I think I'm gonna continue taking little steps to just not let my fear determine how I dress and how I act and things like that in public, or and just take it one day at a time and keep making progress. So that's where I'm at. Again, I'm making these videos more often right now than I thought I would. If you like them for whatever reason, if you enjoy hearing me talk about myself and my feelings with regard to my transition, go ahead and subscribe. Yeah, I'll be talking at you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.